Kenpachi and Yamamoto are two of the strongest Shinigami from the Soul Society. Yamamoto has honed his strength and abilities over centuries worth of training, while Kenpachi was born as a highly talented, monstrous prodigy. So what happens when Yamamoto's insane experience goes up against Kenpachi's limitless potential? A lot of people seem to be under the impression that Yamamoto would easily win in a battle against Kenpachi. In this video, I'll be breaking down why this battle is way closer than you might think. I'll be discussing a lot of information about Kenpachi's character which you may or may not know from the Can't Be Your Own World light novels. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand why Kenpachi versus Yamamoto is way closer than you might think. So this battle is going to be taking place on neutral ground. We'll be analysing both Yamamoto and Kenpachi at their respective peaks from the BLEACH story. So this is Yamamoto with complete mastery over Zanka no Tachi's 4 directional techniques, and Kenpachi Zaraki from the Can't Be Your Own World light novels, where he's had 6 months since he first used his Bankai to develop some control over it following the 1000-year Blood War arc. There's going to be no external interference for either of them and no prep time. Victory conditions are straightforward, it's either death or complete incapacitation, and neither of them will be holding back. Yamamoto is able to use his insane levels of heat to threaten the stability of dimensions, while Kenpachi can strike and tear through the very fabric of space itself. Let's now go over a basic overview of each of the characters, beginning with Yamamoto. The head captain had stood as the Soul Society's ultimate deterrent. Remember at the beginning of the 1000-year Blood War arc, he stated, "I am here, there is no greater security than that." This is a man who had founded the Gotei 13 military division by bringing together the 13 most powerful individuals from the Soul Society to form the original Gotei 13. This included the most diabolical criminal in the Soul Society, Unohana Yachiru. His position as the captain commander wasn't appointed to him, he had earned it by being definitively stronger than every other Shinigami, hence why he was able to command such incredibly powerful individuals. Yamamoto's key feats establish him at transcendent levels. During the Fate Karakura Town arc, he was able to swiftly create a large hole into the chest of the monster Ion without much effort. With a single hand, he stopped one of Ion's strikes and he overpowered it, despite it having enlarged its arm and increased its strength several folds. While facing off against the Arrancar Wonderwise, who was specifically engineered to counter the flames of Ryujinjaka, Yamamoto showcased his Hakuda mastery. He defeated the Arrancar by using an ability called Sokotsu. It's a powerful two-fisted punch, as the attack was so powerful that it destroyed Wonderwise with a single blow. When Yamamoto releases his spiritual pressure, it alone is enough to paralyze lieutenant-level Shinigami like Nanao. His Zanbakuto Ryujinjaka is the strongest fire-type Zanbakuto within the history of the Soul Society. Its Shikai can generate flames hot enough to instantly reduce anything to ash. His ability Jogaku Enjo allows him to create an immense wall of fire. This technique is so powerful that it allowed him to imprison powerful captain-level opponents like Gin, Tozen, and Aizen for a significant amount of time. Then his Bankai Zanka no Tachi operates at 15 million degrees Celsius, matching the temperature of the core of the sun. Moisture evaporates from the Soul Society, ice-type Zanbakuto become unusable, and prolonged activation of his Bankai threatens the very existence of realms like the Soul Society. His Bankai's 4 directional techniques provide him with tactical versatility which is unmatched by other Bankai. Zanka no Tachi East, which is automatically active upon Bankai release, concentrates the intense flames of Ryujinjaka along the tip of the Zanbakuto. Anything that it touches is then eradicated out of existence. Zanka no Tachi West surrounds Yamamoto in invisible sun temperature armor, making physical contact with him impossible. Zanka no Tachi South resurrects everybody who has died by the flames of his Zanbakuto as he forms an undead army. This allows him to overwhelm his opponents through sheer numbers. And lastly, there's Zanka no Tachi South, which is a slash of concentrated fire and heat which erases everything that it touches out of existence. Each technique from Yamamoto's Bankai gives him a viable win condition in any fight. Then there is the battle-hungry Kenpachi Zaraki with his limitless potential. He was born as a nameless child from Rukongai's worst district. When he was a boy, he fought against Yachiru Unohana, and he had proven himself to be stronger than her, and this was without any formal training and without even knowing his Zanbakuto's name. Kenpachi also defeated the previous Kenpachi Giganjo. Unfortunately for Kenpachi, he had enjoyed his battle against Unohana so much that he started to then subconsciously limit his power so that he could match it to his opponents, so that he could enjoy the thrill of battle. By the time that the 1000-year Blood War arc rolls around, Kenpachi trains with Unohana and removes those subconscious limits. He ends up showcasing his incredible Shikai against Gremmy, and he uses his insanely uncontrolled Bankai during his battle against Gerard. And then in the Can't Be Your Own World light novels, which take place 6 months after the 1000-year Blood War arc, Kenpachi demonstrates some insane feats like one-shotting the hollow Iko Mikidomoe while wearing his eye patch. This places him above beings that had challenged the Soul King. Iko Mikidomoe possessed fragments of the Soul King itself, and he absorbed massive reishi quantities at this point, and to even challenge this primordial hollow, it required maximum effort from multiple powerful opponents. Kenpachi, on the other hand, eliminated it with a single unarmed Shikai strike while actively suppressing his power. Kenpachi also engaged in extended combat with Hikone, which provides concrete scaling evidence. Hikone was created as a Soul King replacement, and they operated at genuinely transcendent levels beyond standard Shinigami limits. Hikone's high-altitude battle appeared as clashing stars to ground observers, as well as moving at speed which is way faster than the speed of light. Kenpachi matched Hikone's performance without removing his eye patch, suggesting that he has dramatically higher ceilings when he is unrestricted. People have also calculated the meteor feat that he performed during his fight against Gremmy, with fans estimating Kenpachi's destructive output from a casual strike being teraton to petaton level just from his Shikai alone. The cutting power of his Shikai has been demonstrated to be able to effortlessly cut through space itself. His Bankai transformation, while it was initially uncontrolled against Gerard, its power amplification had overwhelmed Gerard's probability-defying miracle shrift. 6 months of post-war training does suggest that he would have improved control over his Bankai, though it's safe to assume that his Bankai would still be imperfect, as it takes over 10 years to master one's Bankai, and we've yet to see Kenpachi's Bankai after he had used it in the 1000-year Blood War arc. When we look at each of their abilities, the fundamental battle centers around whether if Yamamoto's heat-based existence erasure can overcome Kenpachi's space-cutting physical power. Yamamoto's Reiatsu control demonstrates over 1,000 years of refinement. This has improved his precision, efficiency, and his overwhelming ability via technique. Kenpachi's spiritual pressure, on the other hand, operates through pure density. It manifests as visible skull formations which passively intimidate opponents into submission. Yamamoto's heat manipulation goes beyond simple temperature increases. With his Bankai reaching 15 million degrees, matter doesn't just melt here, it ceases to exist at a subatomic level. The weight of the core of the sun's temperature provides defensive and offensive applications at the same time. However, even an unconscious Kenpachi had demonstrated his survival near to those temperatures while he was unconscious after the fake Yubaka defeated him. Kenpachi's ability to cut through space itself represents a different conceptual framework. Rather than manipulating energy or matter, Nozarashi simply declares that space itself must yield to the blade. This is why it's said that Kenpachi is able to cut through anything. We can assume that he is able to also bypass conventional defenses, which include heat barriers. This interaction between absolute heat and spatial destruction creates some insane combat dynamics. Raw strength calculations do favor Kenpachi significantly in this fight. His ability to destroy a meteor casually while in his Shikai suggests that he has multi-continental baseline output, scaling to planetary levels when he is unrestricted. Yamamoto's strength, while impressive for a technical fighter, he never demonstrated comparable environmental destruction through pure physical force. So while Yamamoto relies on Zanpakuto abilities, Kenpachi treats his Zanpakuto as an extension of his physical power. In terms of speed, Yamamoto's Shumpo mastery provides him with consistent faster-than-light combat speeds with perfect technique. Every moment will maximize efficiency, wasting zero energy. Kenpachi's speed scales with emotional investment and power releases. I'm confident that he would be able to match or exceed Yamamoto's peak speed, but I don't think that he would have as much precision as Yamamoto. In terms of pure combat technique, I think this heavily favors Yamamoto. All of those hundreds of years of battle experience has created reflexes beyond conscious thought. He's able to read opponents through minute muscle tensions and Reiatsu fluctuations. Kenpachi operates operates instead on pure instinct, analyzing and adapting mid-combat without any formal framework. You have to remember that Kenpachi was only trained for a single day until the Central 46 had to intervene and stop his training because they were afraid of his potential. This also adds to Yamamoto's tactical intelligence and his ability to strategize in battle. He's aware of every possible attack pattern, every conceivable strategy, thus allowing him to identify weaknesses through observation and exploit psychological vulnerabilities, and even maintain emotional control regardless of how much his opponents provoke him. Kenpachi's combat intelligence operates a bit differently, not through accumulated knowledge, but through instantaneous pattern recognition. Despite having a below average general intelligence, his fight IQ reaches insane levels. When he was battling Noitara, he had gotten used to the strength of Noitara's iron skin. While lacking strategy and intelligence, he is highly perceptive. In chapter 65, Byakuya was impressed by Kenpachi's ability to understand things that he has no personal experience with. Kenpachi is able to quickly see through his opponent's attack patterns as he finds and exploits their weaknesses, and this is exactly what he does against Gremi, as he realized that the visionary was limited by concentration and the effects of the shrift can be removed if the caster's attention is diverted. Kenpachi can also tell the true nature of people as he notices subtle traits in them, realizing what drives their actions. He was able to correctly single out that Gin and Tozen were the only captains who were afraid to die. When it comes to pre-battle preparation, I think Yamamoto takes it, but in battle adaptation, Kenpachi definitely slightly edges out here. Let's now analyze Yamamoto and Kenpachi's durability and stamina. In chapter 580, after Kenpachi suffered severe organ damage from his fight against Gremi, it took the combined effort of 4 Sternritter, the Bambis, in order to defeat him. Kenpachi was rendered immobile from his injuries, but he was still fully conscious. And then in chapter 635, when his arm was twisted beyond recognition by Pernida, Kenpachi was still able to calmly hold onto his sword with his damaged arm. Following the first Quincy invasion, he had received an insane amount of injuries that had left him in a coma, but he healed enough to return to training only days later. This shows that Kenpachi has high recovery too. Then you have Head Captain Yamamoto, and despite his age, he can fight for extended periods of time. And more than often, he is outnumbered, but yet he still shows no signs of exhaustion when he fights. In chapter 393, he was impaled by a Zanpakuto, and he showed no signs of even flinching, even when this attack was dealt by somebody like Aizen. Even after Yamamoto was cut in half by Yuhabak, he still survived and managed to grab onto his cloak with his body cut in two. When calculating their stamina, I do think an extended fight would favor Kenpachi. His combat style assumes that accumulated damage helps him to become stronger, whereas Yamamoto's Bankai has a timer on it. Prolonged usage of his Bankai threatens dimensional stability, and plus it's going to take a massive toll on him to maintain his Bankai activation, so this forces him to quickly resolve fights. So while Kenpachi has unlimited output, Yamamoto on the other hand needs to balance his overwhelming force versus him being able to sustainably output at that insane level. Now let's have a look at each of their ultimate abilities. Yamamoto has his Bankai Zanka no Tachi, which gives him insane amounts of flexibility. Zanka no Tachi East and West gives him a combination of perfect offense and defense. It's an untouchable armor which delivers existence erasing strikes. Zanka no Tachi South gives him an undead army which allows him to overwhelm his opponents through numbers, and Zanka no Tachi North enables ranged annihilation. This level of versatility means that Yamamoto will always have a relevant response regardless of how the fight is going. Kenpachi's Bankai on the other hand is just insane amounts of power. It transforms him into a literal berserker. He abandons all of his human consciousness, accessing power reserves that overwhelm probability itself. Now we don't know if Kenpachi has gained any more control over his Bankai even post Can't Fear Homeworld. The raw output of his Bankai exceeds most of the metrics in Bleach, and even Kenpachi's own body is unable to maintain all of the power that is released from his Bankai. There is an argument that the instability of Kenpachi's Bankai is an advantage more than a weakness. Because he isn't limited by conscious thought, his unpredictability at those transcendent power levels means that he truly would be a nightmare to fight against. So a clash between Yamamoto's Bankai and Kenpachi's Bankai relies upon Yamamoto's heat erasure being able to overwhelm Kenpachi's ability to cut through space itself and his overwhelmingly insane amount of power. Does Kenpachi have enough power to overwhelm overwhelm the insane temperatures of Yamamoto's Bankai? The answer to this will determine who's the victor in this fight. I think this is the uncertainty around this fight and why I believe that it's way closer than people are making it out to be. The X factor or wild card in this matchup is easily Kenpachi's limitless power that he has awakened after his training with Unohana, and if he has managed to control or gain a bit more mastery over his Bankai. I think that's the only real variable coming into this fight. As for Yamamoto, things are always going to be pretty consistent. He would begin the fight at maximum efficiency and he'd maintain that level throughout. Yamamoto commands an insane presence as he's able to break opponents' morale through reputation and superiority, whereas Kenpachi thrives against fighting strong opponents like this. You would find a great deal in joy battling Yamamoto. So when it comes down to it, I personally believe that Yamamoto would claim victory in 55% of scenarios. This is through superior technique, tactical versatility, and his ability to erase everything from existence, which is just such a broken power. His Bankai's 4-directional system provides him with multiple win conditions, and then you have his insane levels of battle experience, which ensures that he's always making the right move at the right time, and his heat armor would be able to counter a lot of Kenpachi's physical based attacks, and Kenpachi would be victorious in about 45% of scenarios. This is through his overwhelming destructive capability and his superior durability and exponential growth mechanics. And if he is able to demonstrate that he has control over his Bankai, then I think that the probability of him winning increases. I ran a community poll on the channel. After thousands of votes, people think that Yamamoto would win 80% of the time and Kenpachi would win 20% of the time. This would make sense if you're comparing 1000-year Blood War Kenpachi to 1000-year Blood War Yamamoto, but Can't For Your Own World Kenpachi definitely scales at the same level as Yamamoto's calculated limits or just slightly above them. And then if you're taking into consideration Hell Arc Kenpachi, which takes place 12 years after Kenpachi's first Bankai reveal, then it's more than likely that he has complete control over his Bankai, and the odds then tip towards Kenpachi, where he would win in a battle against Yamamoto almost every time. So yeah, you fans think that this is 80 to 20% favoring Yamamoto, while I think that it's 55 to 45% favoring Yamamoto. For a quick resolution, it's going to be Yamamoto with his technical superiority, but if the fight is drawn out, then Kenpachi has a greater chance of winning. So yeah, that's my analysis and breakdown of two of the strongest Shinigami from the Soul Society. I'd love to know all of your own analysis and breakdown of Yamamoto versus Kenpachi, so do continue the discussion in the comments. If there is anything that I've forgotten to mention, then do let me know. I do read through all of the comments and I love seeing all of your own personal theories and headcanons. So yeah, I look forward to reading all of the discussion down below. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this one, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.